Percents are continuing to be a big issue for some of you, so I'm going to put together the main things that I keep seeing messed up and show you how to do these. This will be your reference video if you have trouble. So the main thing, if you want to take a percent, you multiply. Okay, all this stuff's back in the multiply and division assignments, and I've given you answers to those so you can go back and see what you did. But this, we'll go back through it as well. Okay, so let's say sales tax is 5.3%. That's what it really is in Virginia. What's the sales tax amount if your bill's $97.36? So take the $97.36, the whole bill, times the percent. The word percent means per means divide, cent means 100. So it literally tells you divide by 100. So do that. And your answer, $5.16. Okay, another really similar problem, just with bigger numbers. Real estate tax rate is 0.75%. What's the annual tax amount if you have a $185,000 house? Okay, so $185,000 is the total amount. That's what it's valued at. You're going to take 0.75% of that. Percent means divide by 100. Times the percent value, divide by 100. All right, and that one's going to come out to be $1,387.50. All right, so do with a tip. This is something you really should know how to do in real life. Even if you're using a calculator, which is fine, you need to know how to actually do this right. Waitresses, waiters, they work really hard, and if you don't tip them enough, they make less than minimum wage. So if you don't tip them, that's part of their income they depend on. So it's just what you're supposed to do when you go out to a restaurant. You're really supposed to tip a proper amount. So bill is $52.17. You want to tip 18%. We're taking 18%. So times 18 divided by 100. Here's one of those situations where I've got a lot of decimal places. This is money, so there's nothing past 2 decimal places. That just doesn't, it's not a thing. So you only go 2 decimal places. With dollars, it's dollars and cents, so 6 would round that to a 1 rounds this, keeps it a 9. So there's your answer, 939. Now, if you're finding a percent, this is the way you do it. You divide. If you're given a percent, you multiply. If you're finding a percent, you divide. So divide to find a percent. Your subtotal is 87.71. So let's say you went to Walmart, and that's what everything added up to be before they added tax or anything to it. That's the total of all your items you bought. Your tax is 702. So you see on your receipt, this is what your items cost, and then it says your tax was 702, and then at the end it tells what the total bill was. So we'll see what the tax rate is. Maybe you're in a different state somewhere, because all states have different sales tax. Some don't even have sales tax. When you're finding a percent, it's always the part divided by the whole. That's always the way it works. If on a scale of 1 to 100, it's how much of that 100 you have. That's really what a percent is. So the part here is 702. The whole is the 8771. And if you divide those, 7.02 divided by 8771, right, I'm getting 0.08 and some other stuff. Now, this is really a percent is a number between 0 and 1. So the catch here, you do need to multiply by 100, and then you get your answer, 8%. So divide these two by each other, and then multiply by 100. It's the exact opposite of what you just did. On the other problems, you multiply the 2 and divide it by 100. On these, you divide the 2 numbers and multiply by 100. All right, let's do one more. So your house is valued at $114,000, and your tax was $36.48 for the year. What's the tax rate? The part is the smaller number, the whole's the bigger number. So always look at that. This is the whole amount your house is worth. Here's the piece of that you paid in taxes. So part divided by the whole. And I get 0.032. But again, multiply that by 100 to get the percent. So that's going to be 3.2%. And just a final note there, that you're finding a rate, you're finding a percent. Don't answer that in dollars. Dollars is not correct. That's a percent, so your answer should be a percent.